It's June 22nd, 1941. Adolf Hitler, aka Mustache Man, launched a surprise attack on the Soviet Union. This attack, called Operation Barbarossa, is said to be the largest and bloodiest conflict in human history, with a total death count of 800,000 on either side. But why did Hitler do this? I mean, he had strong ties with the USSR after the First World War. They had signed this Treaty of Brest-Litovsk, dictated by Germany, that had ended the hostilities between them and Russia. In this video, we'll be taking a look at this. Insisting on Lebensraum, or living space, Mr. Mustache Man invaded East Europe in search of new territory for the Germans, because, in his belief, they were a superior race to other Europeans. In the summer of 1940, the tensions of Germany and the Soviet Union over the Balkan Peninsula grew heated. Both countries had signed agreements not to attack each other and make allies with other countries, but they both grew a little sussy of each other. The Great Mustache Man was left with no other option but to go to war with the Red Army. In December 1940, Hitler initiated Operation Barbarossa. To prepare themselves, 3/4 of the German army and Axis soldiers were deployed for the attack on the USSR soldiers. The Soviet Union was still inferior to the German army in quantity and quality of weapons. Despite this, the Red Army continuously lost against the German army in early stages of the war. The German army was divided into 3 groups. Group North with the intent of Leningrad, Army Group Center headed for Moscow, and Army Group South attacking Kiev and Ukraine. Many of the Soviets' greatest cities were seized by the German army. Within an amount of time, an Army Group South destroyed a part of Ukraine. They captured the town after town, city after city. Millions of Red Army POWs were taken. The Jewish communities were obliterated along with it. As you can imagine, the Germans advanced. The Soviets suffered great losses. Germany stomped their way into Russia further. Most soldiers retired from the endless march to push farther on into the motherland, but their pride in Germany encouraged them to keep going. The Germans had gained the upper hand. They were left with either 2 options. They could continue into Moscow or flank the Russians and secure Army Group Center. After the Army Group North advanced and secured their flank to the left, they marched in towards Leningrad. But luck was on their side, because further north, Finland had gone into war with the USSR on June 25th. After they realized the USSR was weak, they decided, hey, I want to kick the Soviet Union's butts too. As both countries pushed into Russia on a Soviet onslaught, the Germans were leveling up, preparing for their boss battle in Moscow. They had learned the Soviets' tactics and seen how they fought firsthand. On September 30th, the Germans unraveled Operation Tycoon, the drive to Moscow. In front of Army Group Center were a complex series of defensive lines that bore the way to Moscow. The first attack took the Soviets by surprise when the 2nd Panzer Group took Oriel, which was just 75 miles south of the Soviets' main defense line. After the 3rd and 4th Panzer Divisions captured Vyazma, they encircled the rest of the Soviets' divisions left in the area. Moscow's first line of defense had been shattered, with over 660,000 Soviet soldiers captured. The Soviets now only had 90,000 men and 150 tanks left for the counter-attack on Moscow. But almost immediately into the beginning of Operation Tycoon, the weather was like, hey, I'm just going to rain snow a lot because I feel like it. Roads were all muddy and the supplies of Germans rapidly deteriorated. On October 31st, the Germans' Army High Command ordered a halt to operation so that they could resolve the weather and supplies problem. The pause gave Russia time to recoup and reposition themselves in preparation for the German attack on Moscow. There were over 1,000 new tanks, 11 armies, and a huge import of Siberian soldiers, more well fit to battle in this condition, were deployed to assist and defend the city. With the mud problem solved due to the cold weather, on the 15th of December, the Germans resumed their attack on Moscow. The Germans slowly advanced on the north and southwest sides of Moscow, but in the south, the 2nd Panzer Group was being blocked by the Red Army. Over November 22nd, the Soviets' Army and Siberian Defense Group attacked and defeated the 2nd Panzer Division. However, the Soviets' 4th Panzer Group pushed the Soviets back and successfully crossed the Volga Canal. The Germans' 4th and 7th Panzer Divisions had a clear shot towards getting to Moscow, but on the 28th of November, a powerful counterattack by the Soviet Army drove them back. Then, out of no man's land, a German division of troops marched their way into Moscow and found a weak spot in the Soviets' defense. But the dwindling numbers of Germans waited for their never-coming reinforcements and were eventually expelled from Kimke by the local militia, or a small fighting organization of non-professional soldiers, escorted them out in Russian T-34s. In the aftermath, Russia pushed the German soldiers farther out into their own battleground. In the spring of 1942, abandoned shops and factories were reopened and cities thrived again. Lives of Moscow people were returning to normal. The Soviets' army temporarily gained total control over its area. The Battle of Moscow was a great success, and it proved the Soviet army could take even the biggest of enemies.